Good evening. Please, we are waiting for a few moments for the turnout to improve. So you can alert your friends, those ones you know already, about the fact that the session has started. The number is too low, so it wouldn't be good for us to start. Okay, good evening once again. Please, if you can hear me, give me a feedback.
Yes, sir. I can hear
Yeah.
you.
We are we are 10, including myself. What is your suggestion? Do we start?
Let's
Because
give them some 5 minutes there and see.
okay,
If we are going to start the others to see if they can join.
okay. I always want to get the time right. I don't really have a problem with the time. If I have to wait, I can wait. But the point is, we need to know if when we wait, the waiting becomes favorable for members because they will join, and not that we can wait forever and nobody will come. Yeah, if people need some time to wrap up and join, then we can wait. So let's give them like 5 minutes.
So please, I've seen that one tall man has joined, so we can commence. That tall man, Nutifafa, he's very tall. So
He's the
once he's
most
in the
powerful
class, the
person.
class is full. Yes, once he's in the class is full.
The glass is full. Yeah, yeah, okay.
I'm not the most powerful person. Don't listen to him.
For this one that you are denying that you are the tallest, are we safe? Because I know senior man is there, that you are taller than him. Or
Mine is
who
taller
is the
than me.
tallest? Are you sure? Okay.
Mine is taller than me.
Maybe we'll measure and see and compare the data and see.
Charles.
Submit your microphone.
Okay. Okay, good evening once again. We are 11 and we are going to start. The rest will join later. So today we are going to talk about pivot tables, pivot charts, dashboard as a way of aggregating data and beginning to see some patterns and some insights in what is happening at your workplace. And then we will kind of organize these kind of summaries through tables, which is what we call pivot table, and through charts, that's what we call pivot charts. How we piece them together into what we describe as dashboard. The whole essence is that your data, of course, if you do have data, and that tells us right away that if we are not doing proper data keeping, and usually that is because we don't have proper data collection systems. If that is a problem, then we need to go and figure it out and solve that problem. That problem can easily be solved. That problem can easily be solved. It doesn't require any high-tech investment. Sometimes you achieve that by just chaining the tools that we use every day. Yeah, so you can assess your environment if there is a data problem. Otherwise, there's no sense in learning these kind of things to make your workplaces better. You have the skill, you know the importance of data. That is what we are trying to learn. And if I'm coming, it looks like someone's hand is up. Please, if someone's hand is up, you can. Yeah, Abdul, please. Your hand is up. Abdul, you can talk.
Okay. I want to know whether your screen you shared it with us
Yes,
because it's
I'm
only your
sharing
picture.
it right away. I'm sharing it right
Okay.
away. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you see something now?
Yeah, it's now.
Okay. So I'm just
Thank you.
giving a background discussion. Sometimes that is the most important thing. As for running through the analysis with the tools, it's very straightforward. We have even watched videos. And if you haven't watched the videos, after this session, go back and watch the videos and practice with it. But you need to understand why we have to do all of these things. Data has so much importance for the goodness of what we do at our workplace. So we are learning these tools to be able to get the best of insight from our data. But what if the data itself is not there? What if the data is there in a corrupted form, in a broken form, half correct, half wrong? Then we need to think of fixing it. Yes. So if there is anything like that, we can do a project where we team up and then try to solve the problem. It doesn't require, most of the things are things you need to learn and implement yourself. You don't need to go and buy software from someone and that person becomes a god in your processes. Most of the things that we are using every day, we can chain them together and design a pipeline to do that job. So once we have the data, then we can begin to run through the data and see what is happening. What is happening, what we are doing. This particular demonstration uses, let's say, a supermarket. Let's call it Code Fusion Supermarket. It operates in many regions in the country. Within a region, it can have even many branches within the region. So it's a very big organization. And if you look at the data sets, this data set, you already have it. You already have this data set. Confirm for me, right or wrong. You already have this data set. I'm waiting for your confirmation.
Please, what's the title of the document?
So
The
that's the one you
title,
put on WhatsApp.
yes, I put it on WhatsApp. I've also attached it to the module overview of module 2, because what I said in the announcement is that I felt we needed to review this because this is so important before we look at how AI gives us so much leverage in doing this kind of job that we are talking about, data analysis, which is so important to make our job efficient, how AI supports that kind of thing. So before we go to the AI version, because AI is only going to enhance what is already existing. So before we bring in the AI for that enhancement, we need to go over data aggregation, data summarization to make insights begin to emerge through pivot tables, pivot charts, and then dashboard that you can just see, and then you see, oh, okay, yeah, this is how the sales are doing. This is how the regions are performing in terms of profits and so on and so forth. A lot of summaries can be built, and then the key ones can be assembled on some panel as a dashboard that you can always have your eye on and monitor what's going on. So that's why we are retaking that part. And then Sunday, we look at how AI comes into all of these data projects, data journey that we are going through, how AI gives us a very powerful, how AI becomes a very powerful tool in achieving this objective. So if you don't have the data set yet, and please, after each session, ideally before each session, you're supposed to go through the guide texts on the platform, the attached videos. If you do only just that, you have learned everything we are trying to preach about 60, 70%, if not more. And that is how the system is designed. you have to take the ownership of the learning. Your learning doesn't belong to anyone. And when you do that and we come and then discuss this, the expectation is that you'll be able to ask some questions, or you can follow along for the second time and get things more consolidated. But in case there was some maybe challenge that made you not able to go through the content before the LML session, please do well to sit on it immediately. But the content is very small chunks. Go through them lesson by lesson to get all the dots connected, and then go over the video, go over the LML video to get all dots connected. I beg you, you have to do that thing for us. So this is the data set. This is a cleaned data set. And let me tell you why this is a clean data set. The story we've been telling you with what we are learning is this. Data is important, but data might come in initially, originally, with issues, with quality issues. And you need to sort out the quality issues. Make the data right, and then you can begin to extract insights. So module 1 was focusing on data cleaning. The lessons on the platform are very explicit, well broken down for you to understand exactly what it means and why you have to do that. And then there are practical videos demonstrating to you techniques in Excel that you can use to clean data. The LML session, the person tried to take you through so that it is live, so that you can also see someone is doing it. If you think the video one is a little bit distant, but all it is that all of these things are supposed to help you, so please use them. This is not another certificate. The other one you can go and sleep and make someone do it for you. Take the certificate. This is supposed to make you skillful at your work. If it is not important, then there's no need to sit in and waste the time. If it is important, then let's go through the structure we have specified. So you have gone through cleaning, and you can clean a data to make it like this. And tomorrow, we'll look at how your job for cleaning, or your job of cleaning data, will even be more friendly, more easy, like you are playing your best computer game when you learn AI, the AI way of doing it. Even AI tools that can do that for you. And you need to master those skills so that you do same at your job place. To see things well, to decide well, to improve things. So we all can clean data and make it well structured, issues free, like this one. So I have shared this one with you. So we have cleaned the data set through the previous model, and we have this clean data set. Now we are going to learn how we begin to extract insights. Our main focus is on pivot tables, pivot charts, not so much of Excel formulas. The lesson has some formulas demonstration. You can go over formulas, but this gives you speed and accuracy over formulas. Formulas are meant for small, maybe data sets where doing pivot table, pivot charts doesn't make so much sense. Small data sets, maybe 10-point data set, 20 points, even 20-point data sets, you may want to use pivot tables, pivot charts. So we are looking at the bigger picture and the right tool for the right job. So this is the data set. Now, if you want to see, if you look at the data set in its raw form like this, we know this data set already. This is from our transactions data. So the various sales order that our systems recorded is an online platform. This is a supermarket. We have e-commerce version. We have stores that people come in. So if you check the channel, if you check the channel column, you can see the various channels by which the organization sales happen. Online, in-store, partner. I think 3 main ones. So you remember during the data cleaning stage, the way some of these things can be typed, maybe with leading white space somewhere. So they might create inconsistencies. And then we learned how we can get those things out and get them cleaned and see something like this. So right now, if I do this and I go to, let's say I do this formula. I use the unique formula. If I use the unique formula to extract here the whole of this column. The idea of doing this, sorry. So what I did is I clicked here. I'm trying to do unique on this column. I clicked here and said equal to unique. As you are typing, you will get the screen tip, which is trying to show you all the formulas available in Excel that begin like what you're typing, right? So you will see those kind of formulas beginning to populate themselves up, and you can see unique. And when you pick unique, this is a structure. Every function structure is the function name, open, closing parenthesis. The open closing parenthesis is like the map. That's how I usually describe it to my students. The map of the function. Every function takes an input. And there is a mechanism, there's an algorithm. There are some steps that we have built inside the function that tells the function what it should do with the input. It can be a function to add 2 numbers. So what we specify as the logic of the function is, so in between the parentheses, we say, okay, we can build that equal to add, bracket open, bracket close. In between the brackets, we say A, comma, B. That A, comma, B in programming is called parameters. You do a little bit of programming as a powerful tool of doing high-powered analytics. All right, so I'm beginning to give you a teaser before we get to Module 5. So the A and B inside the math are called parameters. They are telling you the function takes 2 parameters. It takes 2 inputs when you are using it. And then we come and say, okay, how should A and B be manipulated to produce the outcome we want? So we say in the body, the functions body, we can say A, you can say maybe results equal A plus B. Then we say return results. Usually that's the structure of building a Python function. It's basically the same stuff for almost all the programming languages. And what that means is that anytime we call that function, like we are calling unique, we need to provide 2 numbers. The first one is B. The first one is A. The second one is B. And then once you provide those numbers, let's say you can say unique 1, 2. In our case, add 1, 2, add, bracket open, bracket close, and inside you see 1, 2. Then the function takes 1 and 2 and add them because you built the addition in the logic and returns 2, 3 in this case. So this is what unique is doing. We need to specify what unique needs to do its work. Unique is supposed to give us the unique values in some long list that can have repeated values. So in-store can happen many times, online can happen many times, blah, 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 blah. So we see plenty things repeating. But I want to know the unique, how many sets. Online can repeat many times, in-store can repeat how many times, but I want to see how many categories are there. Is it 1 or 2 or 3? That's what it does. So we say unique and then we pass this column. When I was doing this automatic selection of the whole column, I just click the first one here. Let me do it again. So equals unique. And then you can see unique is here. If you get it like this, unique is already highlighted. You can see it in blue. I can use my tab key to pick it. The benefit of using the tab key is that when it picks it, it kind of brings the structure automatically for you. So you see the opening parenthesis there. But this screen tip is very important. You see, the screen tip tells you how the function organizes itself and then how you need to supply the input. So it says array, comma, then it says by call, by whatever. But basically, all it is that you need to supply the array. You can see that the other parameters are in square bracket. It means they are optional. Later, you can go through the details of what by call means, by column means, what exactly once means, and how you can specify those things. In the meantime, we want to give it this column for him to tell us the unique values. So I'll click this one, right? But I mean to really select the whole range. Click that one and do Control Shift and then your down arrow key. And then it goes to the end of the table like this. This is better than selecting the column heading. It makes it bring other inputs into your results, which is not nice. So now I can close the parenthesis like this and then press enter. And then it tells me, okay, these are the unique values in that column, online install partner. Previously, if we were having issues with this, you will see all of those things with issues until you see that it is more than, you could probably see another install written differently, another online written differently, and then you go and fix those things. Now, we have fixed all of those things. So, the organization is as this big. It has multi-channel ways of selling. It has different category of product it sells. It has different regions in which it operates. It has different branches in the regions. And then we see this data pertains to this particular year. So we see the year that this data borders on. And we see for each transaction, so every row is a specific transaction. It's a specific sales transaction. But we capture all of these details, or we put all of these details along that transaction from our database. So for this order, we know the order number, we know the order date, we know the month name, the month in which it happened. Our database captures that detail. Our database also has the year of that particular transaction, matching the month. And then it also puts information about the branch name where the order is, because we are looking at the aggregate organization. And then we have the branch where the sale is happening, the category of product which this order was ordered for or bought, the channel that the sale happened, the net sales from that order, gross profit percentage from that order, and then order count, 1. Of course, the order count will always be 1 for each one of them because the same order cannot repeat twice. Yeah, so, but this is here for us to be able to aggregate and know that for this particular, let's say, for this particular category of product, home appliance, how many times was it bought? It will aggregate how many times this is happening, even for every one instance it's happening, and give you that information because it's very important. That can tell us, okay, which product has the highest sales in terms of the quantities bought, not the revenue, not the money side. So that's the structure of the data sets. And you have to go through it to familiarize yourself like I'm explaining now. Now, let's see how we do summaries with pivot tables. The essence of doing pivot tables is, if you look at this data set, you can hardly understand certain things, for example. And certain information are also very worth knowing for the sake of your own better decision making. If you have such an organization, you will want to know, okay, let's say you are the CEO of the organization and all the other branches, all the branches you operate, your system has captured this information and then it feeds into your end. You will want to know that, okay, how are each of the regions, let's say the regions first. So let's look at it at a broader stage. How are the regions doing? Each region, how is it doing in terms of net sales and this kind of metrics? How is it doing? How is each region doing? Which region is giving us the bigger net sales? Is it Accra? Is it Kumasi? Is it Eastern region? Is it? And then we can investigate why that is happening. Which region is giving us the lowest of sales? And we can investigate why that is happening. Is there some competitor who is doing better than us? Do we have issues with our internal efficiencies? The numbers will signal, and then we connect it to on-the-ground issues, and then we get a better insight, and we take the right decision. So you want to know all of these things. You want to know how the sales are distributed by the product lines, so that you can take decisions like which product is probably not worth probably doing again, so we may discontinue. Which products do we have to probably put more money in? We can even go further and do, okay, how is each of the product lines contributing to our profits? Profit contribution from each of the products. Profit contribution from each of the regions. You can do that as well. Profit contribution from each of the branches. You can do all of those breakdown analysis and see things in a more closer range and take the right decision. Okay, so that's the essence of pivot tables, and it's very, very important. How do we do pivot tables? So let me delete this one. And then we start. So first of all, we all know why the data looks like this. When you convert the data to Excel table like this one, it makes it more ready for data analysis. That's the whole idea, right? Some features, additional features come to the data set and it makes it more easy to analyze. So it's good. And a quick way to do that is to click anywhere in your data set and you can do Control+T if you're using Windows. It will automatically select the whole of the data set. But it is a good idea to always confirm the borders. When it selects, it will put borders around it. Go back to the bottom and check whether the selection is actually complete. It's good to do that. Even though most of the time Excel gets it right, it doesn't spoil anything to double check. Because this is something you're going to build insight on and make decision on. So you always want to be right. And double checking is important. So I click anywhere here and do Control-T and convert it to this table. And then you can click anywhere again. That means we are in the table, right? Because we want to use the table to do something. In this case, we want to use the table to do pivot tables, to do aggregation of our data to begin to see what is going on. So I click here and go to Insert. We are going to insert a pivot table. So the pivot table is in the Insert tab. So you see tables here. Then you can see the first one, pivot table. Click on this one. Then here it also selects the whole table. We build the pivot tables on tables. Okay, so it selects the whole table again. Okay, so I'm going to build a pivot table on this whole data set. And of course, that is true. But here too, you also have to double check to make sure that the selection borders the complete data set. And you can see those green moving border lines. Make sure it covers every aspect of the data set. Right. Then you can click OK. Let's talk about the dialog. So the dialog is a pivot table from table or range. Select a table or range. So that's the selection. I have already named my Excel table. When you convert your data set to table, you will get a field where you can name the table. And it's a good idea to give your table customized name. Usually a name about what the data set is about. So here I supplied that name when I was converting to the table as Code Fusion Supermarket, just for an illustration. And then we go to the next step, which says choose where you want the pivot table to be placed. The pivot table is going to be placed as another worksheet. You see, this is the one worksheet. The workbook has only one worksheet. We can do plus to create another worksheet. When we say new worksheet, it will automatically create that worksheet and put it here for us to begin our project. It's always good to do the new worksheet since we want it to be, since it has to be a worksheet. So we say, okay. And then it creates this sheet 3. Sheet 3 is not meaningful. Sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, that's the default name Excel provides. It's not meaningful. So we will later come and change it based on the summary, the aggregations we are doing, so that the name will reflect what we are doing. Now let's begin to reflect some of the things we said we could do. Okay, first of all, let me talk a little bit about the interface you are seeing. When we did insert pivot table, this is what came as our pivot table. It's basically another Excel sheet, but it has this tool here. This is the pivot table. You see pivot table 3. And I want to name my pivot table. So here, this section, you can see pivot table and then pivot table name. So you see it pivot table 3. It's good to give it a good name. And now what I want us to do is that I want us to look at how our various regions, are doing in terms of net sales. How much net sales are coming from each of the regions? Which region is struggling? Which region is doing the best? And why is that happening? We go into it. We take the right decision. The decision should make good things happen, stop bad things from happening. That is what we call business analytics. We'll come to model 4, which is a dedicated model for business analytics. But these are the foundations of it. So this is where that summary will come. Maybe we want to do something like, okay, all of our regions are listed. All of our regions listed. Let me try to see if I can use my pen to sketch something on the board. Okay, so something like we want our region. And then net sales. So what we want is each region, what is the net sales from that region? For example, let's say Greater Accra. It is whatever. Ashanti. It is whatever. Whatever. We want to, this is actually an information we want, and it is very, very important for us to know this. As the overall business owner operating in all of these regions, you want to get this kind of breakdown. What are the monies coming from each of the regions? It can go down, it can go deeper into each region, each product in the region, and the sales coming from each product. It can go as detailed as that. But the point is, we need this kind of thing. So now that we have some framework, let me clear this. Okay, so now we are back to the pivot table. So if I say I'm going to give it a customized name, this is the pivot table section. This is all the summary will come. Now this side, the right side, is the various columns in your data set. This one, these columns, order ID, order date, month, blah, 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 blah. They have been pulled here because these are the columns you're going to use to build your summary, right? And now here is all where the magic happens. This is what you use to do the summary. This is where you organize the summaries. Now let's explain the main ones. Let's explain rules. You remember what the sketch I did? I did regions, Greater Accra, Ashanti, wherever. And then for each one, the aggregate value for net sales. So you can see that those informations are row-wise information. Accra and its sales, one row. Ashanti region and its sales, wherever and its sales, right? So that is the job that the row section does. Organize your summary like the sketch I did under the region section, right? So we want to group the net sales into the various regions, and we want to arrange the regions in that row-wise way. So that is where you put the rows. So I can pick the region. So I can put branch region here and put it here. And you will see, let me enlarge this one. And you automatically see that it will just say, okay, these are the row labels, because I'm doing row calculation. Ashanti and its value, Bono and its value, Central and its value. So these are the row labels. And then the row values will come. The row values are usually in this kind of computation, are usually numerical values. So when I click here, are usually numerical values, all right? Like net sales, so that you will see that, okay, for each of the regions, Ashanti, Bono, Central, Eastern, Greater Accra, Northern, Western, you want to see the net sales that they are bringing based on the transactions that happened in 2025 across the various months. So we can pick this one and put it in the values. The values are the values that go for these aggregations. These are the aggregation labels. So when I drop it here, you will see that that summary will automatically be built. So if you go back to the data set, you cannot find that information and it will be difficult. You can use functions like SUMIF, and with all the difficulty and the likelihood of probably even making a mistake. Maybe not a mistake, but of course it's tedious and a little bit more manual. Pivot tables make it quick and less error prone, like we have done. And this one doesn't require you to, well, if you know the formula is good, and it's good to know the formulas. You don't need to chew them into your mind all the time. You need to know about it. Okay, this is this function, this is what it does, because you can always go and look somewhere on the internet to find exactly the structure for it. You can even remind yourself before you use it. This is how we do it in the real world. In the classroom where you are solving problems from a book. That is a joke. Yeah, so we solve problems in the real world. And in the real world, once you know, okay, this function does this. Sometimes you might not even know it, but you can generally search, okay, I want to do this, blah, 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 blah. You can even use Gen AI to do that. I want to do this, blah, 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 blah in Excel. I have no idea about any function that can help me do that. Can you help me with functions that can help me solve these issues? Grr, everything will come. That is where if you have an exposure, a good knowledge in all of these things we are learning, it becomes easy for you to solve your problems. You don't need to be a walking a library to know everything, no, but you need to know the skills to know everything you want to know at any point in time. And that is exactly how we want you to proceed with your learning. So this is sum of net sales. Of course, we can change the name here. When you double click here, you will see this dialog, value field settings, source name, net sales, and then the aggregate column name is sum of net sales. You can make it just, this one you can make it the normal way we usually type our report. So I'll make it total sales. That's fine. Total sales is fine. Yes, and then that's fine, total sales. For the row labels, you don't want the label to be row labels. That doesn't make sense. You know that according to the information here, these are the regions. So I can do similarly and say these are regions. All right, so you have a pivot table. It's simple to build, but it does so much for the success of your business. And you can easily build a pivot chart on top of a pivot table. The charts usually help us to see things a little bit more clearer. And when it goes with the data like this, the summary data like this, it's magic. It's wow. It's always the best than having it halfway like this. So let's do the accompanying visualization. We can click here, click anywhere inside a pivot table. And then when you come to this pivot table analyze tab, this tab comes because it comes for the pivot table. So it has specific tools that you use to manipulate the pivot table itself. So I click on it and I see the content. The content of that tab, plenty. We can give a name to the pivot table here, and it is good to do that. So let's call this a pivot table as what do you think will be the appropriate name? Look at the summaries that we have built through this pivot table. What is the best description to give to this summary? It's a question. Please, you can unmute yourself and contribute. What do you think?
Okay, we can say it is the table showing the total sales made from each of the regions.
Good, 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 good. That is exactly what it is. In reporting, usually you want to give it some simple, let's say, compressed expression. So we can say something like total sales by region or sales by region. So I'll do sales. You can name it anyhow you want. So I'm going to do sales underscore by. You don't need to really type it. You can type it normal. We usually type it this way for programming purposes. Sales by region. Sales by region, right? So that when I have multiple pivot tables, which we will later want to chain into a dashboard, this customized naming of the pivot table helps you to know, okay, this is this is that, rather than pivot table 1, pivot table 2, pivot table 3, and so on and so forth. And then that is just, by the way, naming the pivot table. What we're really coming to do is doing a pivot chart on top of the pivot table. So when you come to the pivot table analyze in the tools group, you will see pivot chart. You can even see recommended pivot tables and stuff like this. So let's do this when it comes to when we will need the rest, will come to them. So pivot chart. And then you will see suggested pivot charts based on the pivot table. And you can also see the palette of all the tools, the chart tools that you can use to visualize what is going on in the organization according to these figures. By default, it's telling you, oh, this is clustered columns. So when you hover your mouse on it, it will zoom for you to see it like this. So would you want to visualize it like this? This is bar. This is column. So we have Ashanti, Etche, Bono, and then you can see readily that Greater Accra is having the biggest proportion of the total sales. Bono is the least. You might also want to do something like, so this is column, something like bar. The difference is that for bar, the thing is turned like some degrees. So the labels, you can see the labels here. Usually, this is good if the labels are longer. Sometimes the labels are longer and you do it, the labels come down. They become overlapping and it becomes a little nasty. So you might want to use this approach. But essentially, they are communicating the same information. Right. So let's say I choose this. And they have different versions of them. Let me choose the simplest one. And then do this. Then we'll see that, okay, this is the visualization of this data. Okay, so this is the meaning of these numbers, right? And we can even sort, right? In the pivot table, I can right-click on any of the values to access a menu item. And then in the menu, you will see sort. And I can say sort largest to smallest. One funny thing I saw is that this kind of sorting works in the inverse way between the pivot table and its pivot chart. See, here we are seeing the region with the biggest sales value. So the biggest comes first. But its related pivot table is turned upside down. This is fine, it still gives the information. You can read it from the bottom. Okay, this is the biggest, followed Greater Accra, followed by Eastern, followed by Northern, followed by Western, Central, Ashanti. Bono is the least. And you can confirm it even from here. If you think you want the visual to be rather, doing the job from top to down, then you can do the sorting from the pivot table in the reverse way, like this. And then we can begin to describe or make the charts more descriptive about what the job it is doing. So here we can rename this one as sales by region. So maybe in our educational context, classroom context, for example, I'm in a classroom, so I can easily tell you how this works. Please, does anyone have a question? Okay, no problem. So let's try to transport this business data analysis to the classroom. When I teach, I organize tests and then I collect data. And anywhere there is data, these are your tools. You need to sharpen yourself on these tools. So let's say in my office, I have different courses I teach. So I want to group some statistics according to these difference and see how they are doing according to the different courses. I teach computer applications in accounting. I teach accounting and finance for managers. I teach cost and management accounting. Let's say this three is okay. And then for each of them, I do quiz 1, quiz 2, for example. And then I do assignment 1, assignment 2 for each of them. For each of them, we also have end of semester exam scores. And this data is the same structure as the one you see is tabular. So I might want to run through the data for some of these statistics. For example, I can do something like maybe average quiz scores by program. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that we want to look at each program, each course in this case, cost and management accounting, computer applications in accounting, whatever. Each one of them, and the average continuous assessment score. Let's say continuous assessment is quiz 1 plus quiz 2. You can do it quiz per quiz, and then also per the grand total, which is the sum of the 2 quizzes. And then you can do it only on end of semester exam and do it on where everything is combined. And you can see every detail of what is happening. You can also sort the data on, let's say, if in case you have, and of course you can always get that thing if you want. Try to kind of tag the data for gender. So for each of the students, so you have student registration number, just like we have other ID. We have program. You can collect the data on several levels. Let's say in this case, you have courses. So student registration number, course, quiz 1, quiz 2, total of the quizzes we call continuous assessment, end of semester. final, you can collect gender of each of the registration numbers. And then you can group the data on gender and see maybe gender and then exam score, average exam score. And that is quite revealing. These are the issues we call learning analytics. And it helps you to take the right decision in the classroom to improve outcomes. Yeah, so it's the same thing. Data, once it is tabular data like this one, the analysis tools are the same. And if you train yourself well as a data analyst, it's not about I'm a teacher. No, you can work anywhere. You can work in a hospital. You only need to do a little bit of domain understanding of how their data is collected, the story is supposed to tell them, and then the rest is the tools, right? So sales by region, exam performance by sex or by gender, exam performance by program, and so on and so forth. I don't need the legend because this is just one thing. The legend is usually useful if I have a lot of charts embedded, a lot of charts embedded on the same canvas. But in this case, just one, and it is all about sales like this. And then I can also make these filters. They are here for you to probably filter the data on some levels. I don't need all of them. I need it nicely without any clutters like this. So to do that, with the chart selected, I can come to, you usually need to kind of be going through these kind of context tabs for the very beginning until you kind of master and say, okay, I know that this specific thing is safe. So here you can come here and then you will see field buttons. Sorry about that. Field buttons. Come here. Field buttons. When I click on this drop arrow, you can see hide all. You can read through the options. Show report filter field buttons. Show access field buttons and blah blah. We don't want anything on them, so hide all. Right, so we get it clean like this. You might, if you think, oh, these ones are not needed, the grid lines are not needed, you can select the grid lines and delete them. Yeah, you can delete the grid lines so that it becomes plain like this. Usually, dashboards are meant to give you the snapshots like this. But if you think the grid lines are a good guide for you, you can leave it like this. I think it's okay. So we have done one summary, sales by region. We can do multiple summaries. Let's go and do, so now that we know exactly what this summary is doing, so this is one summary sheet. And in pivot charts, what you do is you can build multiple pivot charts for specific insights and summaries you want. So you'll be doing it there multiple, and then you can stack them together into a dashboard, populating the key things that you always want to see and monitor. So now we know what exactly this pivot chart is doing. So we can give it a descriptive name at the sheet tab level here. So we can rename sheet 3 as, so you right click and you choose rename. So we'll rename it as sales by region. That's fine. And then we can build another one. So we can come to the raw data set again and click anywhere. Sorry. Click anywhere in the data set and we come to insert. We go to pivot tables. And then it will tell us, okay, this is the selection. It is always a good idea to check that, okay, the selection is good. And then new worksheet. And then it will give us, by default, sheet 4. And we'll come and give it a customized name. The same design, just that now we want to do a different summary. So let's say we want to do profits. We have done profits by region. Let's do profits by branch. So we bring branch name, and then we can select it here. If you select the check mark, let's see. The program automatically understands that this is a text field, a text column. So it is not a column that you want to calculate, summarize. So it will put it in row, because the traditional way we want to kind of do this kind of summary is to list the various categories. In this case, the various branch names, and then we add their summary values. So even though we didn't drag it into the rows quadrant like we did it before, just by clicking it and the program reading the nature of the data in that column, it puts it at the right place. So now, I can do net sales again. I'm sorry about that. I'm using a sensitive touch screen board. So there's a small insect which is disturbing me like that. It's stepping on the board. Okay, so now I'm going to click net sales. And because the program knows net sales is a numerical column, which you want to summarize for each of these branches, it will automatically read it into the values quadrant. And then you can see this. And of course, we can do multi-column analysis. Okay, we know the net sales, sum of net sales for each of the branches. We can also show alongside the net sales, the gross profit, and the order count. So you can just do that by clicking each of the checkboxes. Because they are all numerical fields, the program will intelligently read them to the right quadrant. So it's putting all of them into the value section. But I feel safe to drag them and put them there myself. But of course, this is also there. When you are just clicking in the check marks, you just need to make sure the program is doing the thing you want. Otherwise, you can change it yourself. So now we have this. So here we have branch name. So we can just double click into this and say branch. And then we have total sales. And then here you will see gross profits. And then here you can see number of orders. So here you can see something. You can see by default it picks sum of. For this one, it will be good to use count, right? So to change it from sum to count, we just want to count the number of times orders happened in each of these regions. If you look at here, the original data set, you will see that the data is happening by the IDs. So this order ID, it is one order. So the order count is 1. But it was for branch Accra Central. Accra Central orders can repeat several times in this column. So Accra Central, another Accra Central, another Accra Central. Each one is one order. How many 1111 happened for Accra Central? That is counting. Even though in this case, because it is 1111, summing and counting will give you the same value. We actually want to count. Yes, a hand is up. So in that case, we can come here and then, yeah, Pep, you raise your hand. Please go ahead. We can come here in the sum of order count, here in the quadrant, the values quadrant. And you can see some drop down arrow here. When you click on it, you can see value field settings. Value field settings. And this dialog box, we've seen it before, is here. We were dealing with the top part by changing the name of the label. So here we'll give it, we can give it a name we want, and then we can come and change the statistic. The default is sum. We can change it to count. So we are going to do 2 things. Now that we change it to count, have you seen count of order? Count of order count. So we'll give it a nice name. So we can call it number of sales orders. I think that is fine. So number of sales orders. And then we have done the 2, so you can click here. I have number of sales orders. So it means that Accra Central, the number of sales, the quantum of sales that happened within the year 2025 is 20. So sales volume is high, or we can even say sales volume. I think that is more descriptive. Sales volume. Sales volume is more descriptive. And then we can visualize all of these 3 if you want to see how the patterns look like for this kind of summary. It is always about what you want to see. If I really want to see this, okay, all my branches and the total sales they are bringing, the profits they are bringing, and the volume of sales that the branches are generating. This is how you do it. And this is quite informative. So I click here, I can come here and then come to pivot chart. And then you can begin to tour this and see. So when we choose clustered column, you will see something like this. And this is where the legend becomes meaningful. So you will see what the blue color stands for, total sales. The orange is gross profit. And then the green one is sales volume. You can also experiment with other ones and see. When we choose a line, choose as something like this. When we choose bar, you will see it almost the same like the column, star column, but somehow given a different rotation. So I can choose color. And I will see something like, yeah. I want to drop the sales volume so that it doesn't become too cluttered when we are kind of bagging them into our dashboard. Yeah. So for the purposes of the dashboard, I might want to drop this. And if you want to do that, you can do that from here. I can come to the sales volume field that I dropped here. This is a rename field. So that was the order count. I can uncheck the order count from here. I can also click it here and drag it and put it anywhere here. And then it gets off. And then I can I can click here and come to analyze and remove the field buttons to make it more clean. And maybe I want to resize it, make it a little bit more larger. If I think I want each pivot chart and its related pivot chart to focus on one specific detail at a time rather than combining them, then I may also want to, I have already done total sales, so I may want to drop total sales and make this one focus on gross profits because we already have total sales. This is sales by region, right? That information is already contained in the first one. So in that case, I might want to check here. And then we have this. So we can name this one as profits by region. We are assuming that this is the only profit information we have. So it's actually gross profit, but let's say profit by, this is profits by branch. So actually, when you are doing this in practice for your own organization, what you may want to do is, as you have done sales by region, you may want to do sales by most of the key categories. Sales by region, sales by branches, sales by product line, right? That is what you may want to do. So we can do it on that one line. I think that is okay. So in that case, let's bring the net sales here and drop this one. And then this is not the same as this one. This was by region. The categorization was by region. This is categorization by branches. So sales by branches. That's fine. Sales by branch. Or branches, whatever. And then I'll delete the legend. And then we are fine. I can just position it well. Anyhow, I think it makes me feel good in terms of its organization. Organization is key about these things. So that when you open the pen, you see that, oh, it looks nice. And then it looks insightful. So, any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, so now with what we have done, I want to ask, what do you think we can further do to make things more insightful? We want to get information. That is all that we are trying to do to help us to take good decisions quickly. So what other enhancement can we do to make things better than the way it is? It's a question to all of us.
We can add colors to it, color the information that we we are giving out.
Okay. Okay. So someone says we can, of course, we can add color to show something. Colors, if you look at the first one, colors was what was used to differentiate the various things that are being put on the same thing. In this case, it looks like we have only one thing. So colors, fine, but colors might probably not be that useful. I'm seeing something like, if you look at a little longer, shorter, longer, why can't we arrange these things in some order to show, okay, the region that is, the regions arranged in some order, right? I think that is good. So like we did for the other one, we can right click here and come to sort. And then we want to sort from, I want to sort from smallest to largest. And I see that that brings an inverse kind of relationship in there. Okay, so this is what it's doing. All right, I see the reason. When we are using the bar, that is where the behavior is a little bit inverse. But when you are using column, it follows the normal thing. Okay, so biggest to smallest, we see them like this. This is cool. So just by looking at it, we can see, okay, sales by branches, really? Then the bigger bars, or the longest bars are the ones doing the biggest of sales revenue. So Koforidia is topping, followed by Tamale, Takrade, Accra Central, Tema, and stuff like that. Okay, so you can begin to see some subtle differences and some insightful things. This is sales, total sales by region. This is sales, so by region, Accra is leading. By branches, even though the branch names pick like the region names, don't confuse the branch names with the region names. There is a branch we call Koforidia, and it is inside Koforidia region. So this Koforidia is not Koforidia region, it is Koforidia branch. In Tamale, we have Tamale North. The region is Tamale, the branch is Tamale North. Takrade Market, the region might be Western, and then the branch is Takrade North. We have Accra Central. You see that that one was Greater Accra. So Accra Central is the region name, Tema Commercial. So this is the breakdown of total sales. Let me label this one. So total sales. Total sales, or let's say simply sales by branch. Sales by branch. Or sales by branches. Now let's do one more. If you get about 3, you can begin to stack them together into a dashboard. Let's do one more. So when we come here, our original data, and anything we are doing into a pivot table is linked, it's only linked to the original data. It doesn't change the data in any way. So you can still have your source data intact in terms of its originality, and then get all of these insights. Now let's rename this tab into sales by branch. And then let's do, what again can we do? If you look at the data set, you can see order dates. So maybe we can begin to think about something time series. You also need to begin to think about it. Can we what kind of variable usually move with time, and then we want to see how things are moving along time. For example, the net sales. You might want to see how sales are doing across, let's say, months. Which months are doing well, which months within the year, or everything is within one year. So we can't do across years sales trending, but we can do across month sales trending within the same year, and the data gives us that information. And when we even pick the order date, that has more details. It has the day, this is 5, not just the month, which is 1. It also has the day. So that this one will even bring us more detail. So let's intentionally do that and experiment with it and see. So I'm going to click anywhere here and then come to insert and do pivot tables. And then I insert a pivot table here. Now we want to organize on the order dates. Okay. And I'll begin to see that, when the order dates, let me make my screen a little bit bigger. When the order date was dropped into the rows, you see the breakdown. The program is intelligent to break down on month, and then you can see this cross, that means you can collapse. And then within a month, a grouping on the days. Okay, so now when we pick net sales into the values, then you can begin to see this beautiful level of detail. So it's telling you just within January, the whole January is 9428.38. But within the January, for each of the days, you also see the breakdown. And you can see that, oh, the day that was good was probably 26 January. Yeah, 26 January. And this is quite informative. Why did 26 January get this thing? What happened on that day? Was it some special occasion that happened that drove the sales? Why is 15th January the way it is? What happened? Was it that there was a major downpour and we weren't able to open shop? What happened? So the data will reveal this, and we need to connect it to the business situation. That is what we call insights. And that will make us give recommendations and prescribe solutions. So first level grouping, you can see each of the months and the values they are doing. Okay, so this is some trending analysis, how the sales are trending along the months. And it will be good for you, fine, we can initially sort to some order. So sort, and let's say largest to smallest. And then we can see, okay, February is doing the best. February did the best. And why did February do that? We need to get that kind of insight. September followed. June did the worst. Why did that happen? Why are the months December, July, June, maybe even counting from May? Why are they not doing well? What is happening in those? What happens in those months? And how does that affect our sales in that particular, in this particular business? And so on and so forth. Okay, so I want to label it generically as period of sale. I want to desist from being strict by saying month of sale because we see there can be a further breakdown from the month to the days, right? So let's just make it period of sale. So let's say we want to, this is good for you to know with the figures, but if you have a chart going alongside it, that makes your eyes pick things just by, I mean, watching it, that's fine. So let's do a pivot chart. And the suggested one is clustered, but trending issues usually are fine in lines, okay? So we can do this, and this will show us, let me do this. This will show us months and how sales are trending along the months. What we can also do is this. I think we should collapse the sorting on the values. And then let's sort on the months. Let's sort on the months. The months I'll do, wow, the months don't follow that alphabetic order, A, B, C, D. Let me see what I can do. Okay, so I want to come to this order. I was just looking for a way to sort on this, but I wasn't finding one. Okay, so this is what I want to explain. See, January, February, March, April, May. Let me just relabel this. We're going to pick it from here. Make it total sales. And then here I'll make it period of sale. And if we visualize, we'll get something like this. Okay. So when the months are arranged orderly, the way naturally we know it, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So this is how the sales have been occurring naturally. The natural pattern of how sales are occurring across time, across the various months in the year. And you can see that, oh, June, July, things are worse. June, July, things are worse. What is in June, July? Maybe the rainfall. Rainfall affects our sales. Yeah, so this is what we call insight. Why are things like the way they are? The data will definitely expose it if it is a correct data. This is what is happening in June. This is what is happening in July. Then we humans will ask. We know the context. So we'll be asking ourselves, oh, why are things like this in June? Ah, okay, the rain. So the time we open the shop, when it is raining, who walk through the rain and come? So usually sales will go down, blah, blah. There could be also some other reason. It could be any other reason, but you should know the right reason to connect to this finding, to this revelation. And that becomes an insight which drives decision, the right decision. So this is sales trend across time, across months. Okay, this is one beautiful thing. So now, if you begin to collapse, if you begin to show the details inside the period of sales section, then you can begin to see that thing also reflecting in the pivot chart. Let's label this one so that we can know what we are doing. This is sales trend. So let's simply say sales trend. Sales trend is okay. And then we can remove the stuff to make it more clear. So now we see that there is a more granular breakdown. Look at the first side, this side. So you can see January is further breaking down into sub-January. 5th January, 15th January, 17th January, 20th January, 21st January, 23rd January, 26th January, 29th January, 30th January, and how sales are trending by this breakdown. We can do similarly for all of the months and collapse this one and collapse this one. And collapse this one. I can collapse April. So basically what I'm trying to demonstrate is that we can show that detailed analysis under the month, break down into the days, the various days, and how sales are doing day by day, day by day. This is magical analysis. And you need this kind of information for effective decision making. Okay, so at this point, let me pause and ask if there is any question, any comments, anything you want to speak, please. I'll be wrapping up very soon. Now we know how to build summaries, aggregations through pivot tables, pivot charts. Your need for the pivot table, pivot chart is you. This is demonstration. At your various job places, It could be a classroom data set. It could be office management data set. This is to give you the principle. This is how, okay, this in my data, okay, these are some of the things I may want to know, that is, I may want to know happening through the data set. This is how the tool is used. Now you know what you want to do, you know the tool to make you do it efficiently, then you join the tool and you become productive. We are not going to write any exam for grade A on a sheet of paper. The only exam we are writing is how you transfer this to your workplace and begin to use this work to make the place better. That is your grade. Okay, so now that we have, so let's name this one, this pivot analysis with a custom name. So let's call this sales trend analysis, or simply sales trend. So there are a number of things you can do with pivot tables and pivot charts. The videos you watched on the platform, the explanations on the platform, together with the demonstrations we are doing, are good enough to make you understand, okay, this is this thing, and this is how we can do it. It doesn't mean this is where your learning ends. There are a lot of other things you can build on top of your pivot charts. There are so many ways you can look at pivot charts. We can't speak about all of them within the 2 hours we need to engage ourselves. So this is a good exposure and it starts your learning. So keep learning. Watch video. The videos are free on YouTube. And these videos are made by professionals who are doing the real job. It's not a classroom theory. I mean, that's a time wasting. Watch them. We have attached a lot of them on the platform through the lessons. And anytime you click, you can watch it on YouTube instead of watching it inside the application. Then you can see related videos. You can watch other videos to make your mind grow. But anytime you're doing these things, the best advice is don't just watch the video like you're watching some drama movie. This is apprenticeship learning. So when you're watching the video, your computer should be there, your application should be open. The data set that the person is using to do the demonstration usually is attached. If it is there, download it. And as the person does, everything will be sinking into your mind. That's how you become good. And that's how you learn these professional programs. It's not like classroom where you can read the thing without doing it or watch the thing without practicing it. So that is okay for pivot charts, pivot tables. There are many things you can build depending on your use case. Explore the data set. You have the data set. Be experimental, be adventurous. Just do this or that. You can also build, let me just show that last demonstration and then we can go to the dashboard. You can build cross tabulation styled pivot table with its associated pivot charts. Let's see one. In that case, what I want to do is that when I come to pivot table and I set one, I want to kind of organize on different levels, row and column. So I want to say, okay, branch name here in rows, but as branch names are here, I also want to do secondary grouping on top. So that is where you use the columns. So branch name and then let's say product category. So I'll put a product category here. Okay, so this is the structure. This is cross tabulation analysis. So you will get this kind of information. For let me label this, okay, so that it doesn't become deceptive. So this is branch. And this is product category. Okay, so this is going to tell you that at the intersection, so this is some great summarization. At the intersection of Accra and beauty and personal care, you get this specific information of how the Accra Central branch is doing if we put at the value section, let's say net sales. Then it will tell you how Accra Central is doing in terms of beauty and care, in terms of electronics, in terms of fashion, in terms of groceries, in terms of home appliances, in terms of all the various product categories, plus its total. And this is quite informative. That gives you a lot of understanding of what is happening in some detail and the best decision you have to take on what based on what you see. You can do even multi-row level. For example, this is branch. Under each branch, I want to subcategorize into channel. Yep, and you see something like this. So you are kind of increasing the level of detail. So you will see that, okay, Accra Central, broken down into the channels, in-store, online, partner, these are the sales coming from each of the product categories. This same analysis can be built on classroom data, office data, data anywhere. So experiment, learn from others, watch videos as we have given to you on the platform, watch other videos, read other materials about it, grow your knowledge in them. Okay, so let's now go to the the dashboard. Quick demonstration of the dashboard, and then we can disperse. The time is fast. So now click here. Click on this plus here to create a new tab for our dashboard. Usually we make the dashboard be the first one because that's the high level summarization of the analysis we are doing. So you can drag it here. So now let me label it. Let me name it as dashboard. Right. And then I'll just click and drag, and you can see that black pointer. So I'll move it to the first thing. And usually dashboards, we're not going to show numbers and stuff. We only need the numbers to be placed in the cells, or we need the cells when numbers are involved. So in that case, we can take away all the grid lines. We need some plain space to put our things, arrange our drawings and see what is happening. So we can come to, I think that will be in view. And then in view, we check, we click here to uncheck the grid lines and we see this kind of thing. And then we can give a name to our dashboard. So let's call this Code Fusion sales dashboard, for example. And then we can make it big. And then now what is left is that, okay, the arrangement that we want to, this is all about what do we, interior decoration sort of. So it depends on your, so here, this is design. So this is how I want to do it. I want to bring this one, the sales trend one. So I'll copy this, come to my dashboard. Maybe let me place them there, and then I'll see the best way to arrange them later. And then come to sales by region, copy this. Let's put sales by region here. Later I'll see how we do the organization. And then sales by branch. In your experimentation, if you do other things, it can be as complex as what we're doing in this sheet with its accompanying chart. That is the same thing. You copy, and then you bring it here. So this is sales by branch. So how am I going to do it? Let me say I want to put my slices here. We'll talk about slices very soon. So I'll do something like this. And this is important. You need to arrange it and make it nice. You can't do it anyhow. It doesn't need to be that nasty. So let me bring this one up and see how it fixes. Okay, then I may bring this one here. And maybe make it snap to here. This is just design. Yeah, and I think maybe it's okay. So this is not bad. So what is left is, how do we make this thing dynamic so that we can have slices that can apply filters? Okay, this is sales by branch. This is sales by region. The sales by region, what if the product of interest? Okay, so let's see some of the slices we can build, then I can use that to explain. So when we come to sales by region, let's build a slicer here. So we click on pivot tables, analyze, we can see insert slicer. And slicers come with all of these fields. So basically what it is we want to do is, how can we show the data from different dimensions? For example, this is showing total sales by region. So all of the regions combined for all of the products we are dealing with, for all of the channels that we are using, for all of the product categories. But what if I want to see sales region, and then I can probably show specific categorization for channel. So I see sales by region, but the channel is, let's say, only online. Then I see sales, online sales by region. And I might want to see partner sales by region, right? So I can choose this. And then you get this slice. Let me make it. So here, this slicer is, let me check one thing. This slicer is connected to only the sales by region pivot table analysis because I am building it inside that pivot table analysis. But if we want to apply to the other pivot analysis, like say sales by branch, we will see the total sales from each of the branch. But what if you want things to be sorted by also further by the channel? Then we can check this one as well. Correct. And then we have pivot table 5. I think pivot table 5 was the sales trend. The pivot table 6 one is that table. I didn't even generate any chart. So we can click on this one. I'll go and rename pivot table 5 into sales trend. So now, when we check all of these pivot tables, what we are saying is that we want to put this slicer on the dashboard so that we can click install for everything to change and show only install versions online. So now let's click. I didn't check the 6th one, so let's click. Okay. So what I'll do is I will move this one here because I don't really need it inside the pivot table and chart analysis worksheet itself. This is usually good on the dashboard so that you can click and then you show things changing dynamically. So I can cut it from here and then go to the dashboard and put it somewhere. And then I'll later adjust it. So maybe I can put it here and arrange them here. Right. So now you see this thing. Now if I click install, everything will trend to show install. So this is how the sales trend looks like for all the things that were bought in store. Online. This is the online situation. And you can take your time and look at how the dynamics are playing. Partners. This is the picture. Let me pause here and ask if there is any question or if there's anything I need to go over. Please, are you there?
Yeah, we are here.
Okay. Anything I need to go over? Anything? Any question for any clarification? So let's build one more. What do we call it? Slicer. So here, let me see if I click a slicer. Click slicer here. Okay, so this is for only this specific. I was just looking for if I can get a way to insert another slicer through here. But there are many ways to do that. I can come to any of the pivot table, charts, analysis sheets like sales by branch, for example, whatever. And then come to pivot chart analyze and then do insert slicer. In this case, any slicer I put will connect to this particular pivot chart table analysis, but we can go and do a setting where the slicer will also play all the other pivot chart, pivot table analysis. So we have done channel filtering, channel slicing. Let's do, let's say, year month. No, let's do year month is the year, so it will be 1 year. So let's do month name, right? So that maybe we will want to see, we can click on the month to see that month specific dynamics. So here we expect that it will bring all the months. So that, for example, this one is tied to this one, and it is showing us sales by branch. What if I want to see sales by branch in January? In January, how did each branch do in terms of sales? Only in January. So I click this. Wow. This will not be that informative because it will keep doing it 1 month at a time. 1 month at a time, 1 month at a time. Not quite informative. I wouldn't want to build this kind of slicer, so maybe I'll delete it. Right? Let me delete this. And let me see if there's another thing that can be more fun. Since we have sales by region, sales by branch, maybe we want to slice according to the product category. The product category may be many names. Okay, let's see how it works out. And in practice, what I'm doing is very normal. You'll be doing experimentations like this back and forth and say, okay, this is fine. Everything is good. So now for this particular worksheet, if you click, it's showing us how much each of the branches made in total sales. So what if I want to see that thing for each specific product category? How much sales did Tamale not made for beauty and care products, for electronics, for whatever. How much did each of the branches make in total sales for only beauty and personal care? I think that is quite informative. So we'll see this kind of thing. And only beauty and personal care, Tema commercial is topping. But let's now delete the filter and see who was topping. In total sales, Tamale North is topping, followed by Cape Coast. But product-wise, for beauty and personal care, Tema Commercial rather is topping, followed by North. North is not doing that much. If you looked at it, total sales long bar for the beauty and care, it's not doing well. Now let's see, probably it will be doing well in other things. Now let's see electronics. Commonly not makes much of the sales from electronics, fashion. Campus people like fashion. This might be true. People's work per life. Groceries, Adriane, let's see which people. Accra Central, okay. Home appliances, which, okay. Koforidia makes much of its sales from home appliances. So Koforidia tops in home appliances. Office supplies, Tamale not. So this is how you can show these various views. So now we can make this slicer connect. And how you do that is you can right click the slicer and choose report connections. I mean, connecting to other pivots, chart sheet analysis. That's basically what it means. And you can see this dialog and you can see, okay, I want to connect to, it is first of all connected to where we are building it from. That is pivot table 4. I'll rename it. Pivot table 4, pivot table 5 doesn't make sense. I only renamed for the first one. I forgot for this one. So I'll do, but you can see the tab names here. This is sales branch. This is, okay, actually sales by branch. This is also sales by region and sales by trend. So check these three. The last one is going to be neglected. So when we do this and click OK, now this slicer, even though we built it natively attached to this pivot table pivot chart analysis sheet, it is now connected to this one and this one, and any one we choose to connect to. So when we click on something, it will show across all of them. That's the meaning. So now let me do this. And let's cut this from here and take it to the dashboard. And let's put it here. Yeah, you only need to make sure your arrangement is nice, something like that. Okay, so now this is how things look originally. So now if I click on electronics, you see that the dynamics will change for each of the major dashboard item to reflect only electronics. So we are seeing sales trending across time for only electronics. And I can further say, okay, only electronics and online. Only electronics and online. Any questions? Steve. Steve was not able to join. Steve, are you on board?
No question for now. This is not Steve, but no question.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Zan. Apart from Mr. Zano, anybody with any question? Because I want us to wrap up. So I will share.
Some of us had network challenges on and off, so we'll have to listen to the video
The
and practice.
playback.
So if
Yes.
we have challenges,
Okay.
we have challenges, then we can come back.
Okay, done. No problem. So I'm recording the session. I will quickly package it and share the link to you. And I have also, I'll show, let me now show this. I think I shared, did I share the whole of my screen? Let me share my entire screen now and then show you, let me come to here and then, okay, so this is our learning management system. Okay, so I'm showing you where all the information on lesson 0 module overview. This is where I attach every LML learning, live method learning workshops. This will attach the files we'll be using at the model overview section or lesson. And this one, so you see too, this one, let me just preview, all right? The names, the initial part of the names are the same, but because we don't have the full name showing, let me just preview. So this is module 2, guided dashboard build. So this is the brief. This is supposed to show you step by step how you have to go about using the data sets and then following along to learn step by step. So that is the brief. The brief is attached. And then this is the data sets. It is the same data sets that we have used to do what we have done. And then this is a YouTube video. A YouTube video built for doing the same exercise for the previous cohort. There will be a few other things, differences. So I will advise that for learning how to do exactly what we have done, in addition to watching your sessions video, you can also watch a previous cohort's video. I've also attached it. So when you click on it, you will see the video here. Sometimes you see that the earlier part of the video might not be doing anything because immediately I open my Zoom, the recording is automatic. So anything that we wait before we start, but you can use this to preview and just see where things start. So watch this one too as well for more insight. And then this is the previous cohorts session, LML session, whose video I've attached, the data sets, all of the analysis, the original data set, the various pivot table and chart analysis we did, all of them. This is the workbook, also attached. Download them, everything you need to understand what we are doing. All have been given you, every demonstration is in there. Find time and go through them. And we will talk about our groupings before we conclude. Tomorrow, we are going to do Module 3, LML workshop. Module 3 is AI data analysis and productivity. You are expected to go through all the modules. The lessons are quick. But because we chose to break them down small, so that the cognitive load will not be that burdensome for you to lose track, the number of lessons are only longer, but all combined is not a big information. We have only tried to break things into more simple forms. Right. So please go through that model if you have not already done so. All the models that you were not able to go through the lessons before the LML, try to marry the two together. That's the only time you can get the full benefit of the program. And do it same for module 3, AI data analysis and productivity. Tomorrow we are going to meet on that one. Okay. So I want all of us to quickly discuss on your groupings. You see, for every module, like module 2, for example, you will see SCB practical activity. SCB is a model, a teaching model that is designed by Code Fusion. Basically, that model reflects the natural way we normally learn as human beings, right? As human beings, we don't learn in isolation. We learn through interaction, we learn through discussion, we learn through collaboration. So SCB actually stands for Supervised Collaborative Brainstorming. So this is where we pull your heads, what you have learned, what the other person learned, your strengths, your weaknesses are pulled together, and then everything, like you share yourselves, and then you get part of everybody and you become complete. So this is the playground towards you doing the personal assignment. This is the structure you're supposed to follow it as a test to be able to complete the program. Yes. So we need to have the groupings for the SCB project, the SCB practical activities. I suggest a group of 5 people. What do you think?
That is not bad, but it looks like some of our colleagues are not here. I don't know whether we can include them in the grouping.
Yes, I'll definitely circulate it in the grouping. And we ourselves can also disseminate it to them. And then they are aware, we just form the groupings. We can do that based on proximity. Not necessarily because we can meet virtually, but there has to be a collaboration, a meeting to do every project that is attached to the SCB. And if the project is here already, everything is there. And you need to complete them before you will graduate. Okay, so that is it for now. If there is no question, then we can say bye-bye for now so that we can attend to other matters. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.